just needing, as you know, Clem, something that's as sexy as I am. Crazy for that car. I was able to sell it for $80,000 more than I paid for it. Well, Fastlane really helped our business. Having to get sober as a necessity as opposed to a lifestyle choice. Quote where he said, I'm like a fine cheese, the moldier I get.
Hey John, great to see you.
Good to see you too. Good morning.
Good morning. So today we are with John Cleary. We're going to introduce his life, his business, and his beautiful Aston Martin. He also is a vision and inspiration in life. John, can you introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name's John Cleary. Been a member of Fastlane for about 3 years now.
John, what do you do for a living?
What I do for a living, I'm a corporate transactional lawyer. I do work with a lot of startup companies, helping them get set up, get funding, and help them kind of through the life of their company to where we end with an IPO or we end with an acquisition.
John, why did you become a lawyer? What was your inspiration?
Well, I became a lawyer. Most probably the main reason was I wanted to go to grad school. I didn't want to go start with a job or get off my parents' payroll. I picked law school as a way to spend 3 more years avoiding adult life, and then through law school I got interested in finance.
What motivates you every day to wake up and do your job?
Probably what motivates me the most every day is having 3 kids I got to put through college. I do like my job. I really like helping startup companies learn what they need to know to kind of grow and to plan and strategize for, ultimately an exit. It's never too early to plan for it. I deal with a lot of really, really smart people, and it's pretty cool to educate them on some of those nuances.
I love it. Why did you join Fastlane and how did you hear about Fastlane?
Well, I first heard about Fastlane from Enrico. He's done some work on some of my cars and talked to me about it. And what really appealed to me about Fastlane is being around a bunch of people who are car enthusiasts and know a lot about cars, love to drive their cars. I mean, I have a wife and 3 daughters at home, and there's nobody to talk to about cars.
What is your favorite part of Fastlane, your favorite activities?
Favorite activities are the drives. I mean, the drives are amazing, how well organized they are. The plan stops and we have the route, and they always seem to just be perfect with the scenery and just the way it's set up. That's my favorite part, but I've really enjoyed getting to know people.
That's good. Did you meet some friends that you hang out with? Or?
Yeah, I mean, when you spend your time, either at your desk at work or at home with family, it's hard to make friends that you really have common interests in. And I've made, a couple really good friends through Fastlane, and it's really been a cool part of my life.
That's good, thank you. And how did Fastlane help your business?
Well, Fastlane really helped our business because we became a sponsor of Fastlane. By doing that, we have our name and our logo on all the cars, and we hosted a breakfast. And Fastlane has a lot of people who are entrepreneurs or budding up entrepreneurs, kind of the exact demographic for my client.
That's good. What's the big vision for your life and your inspiration?
Well, the vision for my life is be the best dad I can. I mean, that's the stage of my life I'm in right now, so that's really my focus. And what I would like to do, over the next 10 years is start to pull away from work, start delegating more work to people so I can, enjoy, the many decades of work I put in.
Thank you. So growing up, did you always have a passion for cars?
I did. I mean, I remember when I was a little kid, I had all the posters, and I had weekends where I was washing my dad's car and detailing my dad's car down to every little detail. So yeah, it's been a lifelong passion.
So what poster did you have in your car, in your bedroom?
In my bedroom, I of course had the Poverty Sucks poster. Everybody had that, the Rolls Royce, in the 80s, but the Lamborghini with the girl on it, that was the one.
Yeah, I hear that a lot. What is your dream car today if you had to choose one?
If I had to choose, it'd be hard to choose one. My dream car, as you know, changes about every 2 months. I like to try different cars. In terms of dream cars, it's more of a kind of a set of 3 or 4 cars. I would love a vintage Porsche RS, 2.7 RS. I would love to have a Spider, Ferrari Spider, 488s I love, and then a GT2 RS. That would be a nice little stable of cars.
Something interesting about you, you changing car pretty much every month. Hard to follow up with you. Like 2 weeks ago you had a GT3, now you have Aston Martin F1. Why are you changing cars so fast?
To impress you.
Okay.
Mainly to impress Clem.
That's a good answer.
No, I mean, I love just being in different cars. Fortunately, with most of the cars that I drive, most of the time they're Porsches. They're pretty easy to get in and out of, and I just like trying different cars.
That's really an inspiration. I like to keep my cars. It is sometimes a problem because I don't like to change too much. So can you present us this beautiful F1 edition Aston Martin Vantage? I know you got it a couple days ago.
Yeah, I love it so far. I've driven kind of in the past GT3s, incredible cars, the way they handle, the way they perform. I chose this car just to have something that's a little more drivable to and from work. The first thing that you notice coming out of a GT3 into this car is the sound. The exhaust sound is just amazing, and it's really quick.
Why did you choose that color, and are you going to do any modification to the car?
I'm not going to do any modifications. I chose the color and really chose the car just needing, as you know, Clem, something that's as sexy as I am. Really difficult to match the sexiness of me with the car, and I think this really kind of nailed it.
Yeah, you make the car look good.
Yeah,
so
yeah. I have a tendency to do that with a lot of things.
Yeah.
Like you, standing next to you.
So you drive so many cars. What do you think is a car who's getting the most attention? I know one of the most recognized brands is actually Aston Martin. So do you think the Porsche, the Ferrari, the Aston Martin?
Well, they all get attention. What's interesting is they get different kind of attention. Ferrari gets attention of a lot of times little kids, big muscle car dudes that want to pound you. The Porsche gets a lot very well-versed car enthusiasts. They understand what kind of machine that is. With this one, Aston's not a big known brand in the US. I imagine there's probably a lot of people that look at this and say, oh, what is that, a Supra? Which I kind of like.
Thank you. So I'm going to go back a little to Fastlane. What was your favorite event this year, and what are you looking for 2023?
Well, my favorite event this last year, it was our most recent event, the holiday event. It was just amazing. It was so well attended. The drive was amazing, and we had so many cars. It was really cool to see that many cars. Dinner that was hosted, not just the location at Viejas, but just the feel of the dinner, having everybody together that was participating. It was just so cool.
What event are you looking for this year? What would you want us to do?
I would love for us to do a track day or even a cone event where we're driving through the cones. What do we call that again?
Autocross.
Autocross, yeah. Any one of those. I love our rallies because the scenery is so amazing, but sometimes it's fun just to take your car over the limit and not be sitting on the side of a canyon.
I agree. So we're going to do a racetrack in Palm Springs in October. So this one would be pretty fun. How Fastlane impacted your life?
Fastlane's impacted my life by taking a lot of work stress away and having something else to look forward to, and kind of put a lot of my passions to the forefront of my mind as opposed to, work home. It's been really good for my mental health. Anything
you want to add? Tell us about you and your inspiration or about yourself.
The only thing I tell you about me is I've had an interesting life path. I've been doing this job for 28 years now. I had a point in my life, alcohol took over in my life, as you know. And unfortunately, what was unfortunate at the time was, I had a lot of really bad consequences. Came out of that is the ability to be very humble, really focus on what's important. You come out the other side of that and your life's better than it would have been otherwise. So I work with a lot of people who are struggling, a lot of especially lawyers who are struggling. A lot of people think their life's over if they have to get sober, and I can tell you from my experience, life gets better.
Yeah, it's the beginning of your life. I agree with this one.
This F1, let me tell you a little bit about it. It's 2022 Vantage F1, and what Aston Martin did with this car is take their base Vantage, which is more of a touring car, beautiful car, fast car, and they kicked it up a notch with not only with the suspension, the performance, and definitely the looks of it. Next car, I have a 911 Turbo S cab convertible that I'm looking at that I'll probably use to kind of split my daily driving between that car and this car. Can't just have one. You got to have more than one.
Good. Are you more a vintage person, or do you like more new cars?
I love something about both of them. I love vintage Porsches because just the analog feel of it. There's no computers, there's no limited slip. It's just you in the car. Sound of it, smell of oil and gas. I love that, but you can't beat the performance of a new car. And the safety, the way I drive sometimes. So I like both.
Can you tell us a little more about your day-to-day activity?
Yeah, my day-to-day activities, I come in and every morning I'm already sitting on 100 emails, so I'm playing air traffic controller with emails and trying to get people that work for me in the right places, talking to the right people. And the name of the game every day is, with a deal, you try to move it down the road. You try not to get stuck and keep moving yourself to a closing.
That's good. How do you find your clients?
I find my clients mainly through referrals. If you do a good job for a client of yours, they're going to talk about you and they're going to recommend you. At this point, it's really referral based.
Do you do any type of marketing?
I don't do any marketing really intentionally. I'm out in the community quite a bit. I make it a point of telling everybody what I do for a living, but not really hard marketing.
That's good. What would you say to a new law student?
What would I say to a new law student? I might tell them, reconsider, go back. Any job where you're paid by the hour means you're only getting paid when you work. After having done this for as long as I have and, worked with so many people that have figured out a better way to make a living, it's a tough way to make a living.
If you were 20 years old again, where would you go right now?
If I was 20 years old, what would I do? I mean, what I would love to do, I would love to teach college literature, but then again, I love cars too much. So I don't know if I could go down that path.
Yeah, that's for sure. You will not drive any 911. You
Yeah.
will look at them or teach about them. What's your favorite activity in law?
My favorite activity in law probably is working with new startups at the early stage of their company, where they're going out and finding seed capital to really launch the business. That's the most exciting time for the client, which means it's the most exciting time for me. And then, of course, I love the exit. I love, there's nothing better for me than when I take a client from the very beginning to a point where my next move is to refer them to our wealth management lawyers.
What is a common denominator between a successful startup and a failure?
The common denominator between a startup that's a success and a failure, I would say failure to plan at least 12 months in advance. Planning day by day is going to result in disaster because the market's changing constantly. And right now, we're trying to focus on making sure the startups that we work with have enough funding to last 18 months because I think the market's going to be shut down for a while.
What would you say to a young entrepreneur who just got his startup going?
I would tell them to buckle up and I would tell them that I really hope they have friends and family with a high net worth that can fund your company until the venture capital market opens back up.
What is your favorite quote?
What's my favorite quote? It's probably Paul Newman's quote where he said, I'm like a fine cheese. The moldier I get, the more interesting I get."
You changing car in average about one time a month or one time every 2 months. Sometimes
2 months maybe. Yeah.
I see you with a new Ferrari the week after a Porsche. So how do you keep track with the market to be sure you don't lose money and sometimes you make money on the
Yeah.
cars?
Well, we've been in a crazy market for high-end cars for many years now, and some cars you can be pretty certain you're not going to lose money on. For example, Porsches, certain models, the GT3s, turbos, and the GTS. If you have a good relationship with a dealer, you can get the car priced, at a good price, and then when you turn it in, you're either going to make money or you're going to break even on it. And for me, I lease all the cars because if I bought the cars, I'm paying sales tax on an asset I'm going to own for 2 months. There's certainly some strategies with it, but it's not going to last forever. It's a depreciating asset. The world just is operating crazy right now.
So what's the best deal you ever got or made on a car? And what is the worst one?
The best deal I've ever made on a car was my first GT3, my 992 GT3, where one of my dealer relationships resulted in me owning the car at Sticker, and the world went crazy for that car, and I was able to sell it for 80,000 more than I paid for it. Worst deal on a car, any BMW. Any BMW, you're gonna get killed.
That's really funny. I know you are really involved in the sober life. So can you explain that a little more and what it's involving?
Yeah, it's being in recovery and being around the recovery community is something I'm probably the most passionate about. I stopped drinking 17 years ago, and for very good reason. My family's better for it, society's better for it, the fact that I'm sober. What I try to do is make myself available to anybody who needs help. I want people to reach out. That's why I'm very open about my recovery instead of trying to stay anonymous. And I help a lot with the legal community in California. The incidence of substance abuse and addiction in the legal profession is 10 times the general population. I really focus quite a bit on making myself available to lawyers who are struggling, people that I help that are lawyers. I help people who are non-lawyers.
So that's a really good point. What I wanted to say, I think it's really good in Fastlane that you get involved into it and we talk about it because a few members got sober on the last couple of years, including myself. I didn't have a real problem, but I realized anxiety was too high drinking, so I stopped completely. And now we have 3 members after that who stopped. So are they contacting you? Are you talking to them? And what advice will you give to someone who has struggled with substance?
Yeah, the advice I always give to people that are struggling with either abusing alcohol and drugs or has an addiction is, based on my experience, having to get sober as a necessity as opposed to a lifestyle choice. Too many people look at it as the end of any fun in their life. I'm never going to have any more fun. How am I going to be a young person, with an active social life, being sober? And it's amazing. The story is always the same. People end up having more fun because they're more present, they're more focused, they have more energy, and they remember more. So it's always cool for me to see people on the other side of sobriety and they see their life in every possible way getting better. Their relationships are more meaningful and deep, and they do better professionally. And it all starts from a place of fear of what's my life going to be like if I get sober.
So that's a really good point. So last year I did a leadership program, as you know, and during that time I stopped drinking. And during one of the program, we were talking about it, and we were saying that a lot of people drink to be more present, but we realize it's actually a form of avoidance. So when you drink, you're trying to avoid reality. So when you stop drinking, it takes maybe 3, 4, 5, 6 months to realize that you have deeper conversation and more mindful relationship with people when you stop drinking.
Yeah.
So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah. One thing I do with people I work with is I tell them that your first year is going to be uncomfortable. You have to go through your first round of golf sober. You have to go to your first sporting event sober, holidays sober. We really kind of work on, how do you get through that event? And everybody always says, what do I do with my hands? I don't have anything in my hands. And once you get through it once, it's easy the next time.
So that's a really good point. My struggle personally, and I realized that, was to find things to drink. Water can be boring, but you don't want to drink Coke because it's a lot of calories. I started to get a little imaginative. I was drinking water with lemon. I'm drinking more coffee, drinking tea, drinking iced tea. Also now I find non-alcoholic beer. You feel that you are drinking something and people don't come to you say, oh, why you are not drinking? What is a huge issue about it? So it's really interesting to see also how people react when you're getting sober, because they see their fear into their eyes. We want to be sure that we don't reflect their issue, and we're just trying to motivate them. Really finding new drinks and new ideas being the biggest challenge. And now after a year, I finally found things that makes me happy. I drink tomato juice, it's great, or beer without alcohol, and people look at you at the bar, but finally they serve it, so I love it.
I always tell people, get a rocks glass, get water, sparkling water, put a piece of fruit in it, and it's a shield. Nobody's going to offer you a drink.
Yeah.
So you never have to say no. You just, you hold it up, people think you're drinking, and they leave you alone.
Correct. What advice would you give to a younger John in life?
What advice would I give myself to a younger me? I would probably say get over yourself. I think I thought I was pretty damn cool when I was younger, and I had yet to learn that life has a way of kicking you in the ass. So that's probably what I'd tell my younger self. I might even kick my younger self's ass.
John, thank you so much for today. It was a great time with you. So please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, follow us on Instagram, and we're gonna have the video 1 time a week now. So thank you for watching.